January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Human trafficking is known as trafficking in persons, includes both forced labor and sex trafficking. Traffickers often take advantage of instability caused by natural disasters, conflict, or a pandemic to exploit others. Like the United States, many countries around the world have worked to implement the 3P paradigm of preventing the crime, protecting victims, and prosecuting traffickers.
People typically do think that human trafficking is a border issue, like taking someone and taking them against their will. But we have children who may end up on the street. Those that are in the LGBTQ community, trans community, sometimes are at more risk. We have people that may have come in from another country, may not speak the language, may not be familiar with resources in the area. So those type of people seem to be a little bit more vulnerable. It doesn't necessarily have to be children, though. It can also be adults that can be, involved in either the labor trafficking or the sex trafficking. And I've talked to actually some survivors of human trafficking, and they talked about just being on the street and hanging on their friends and trying to survive. But then when this weather comes like this, they need to get a roof over their head. It makes it a lot easier for traffickers to go talk them into, hey, I got a place for you. And then once they get there and they think, oh, this nice person is going to take care of me, is going to give me something to eat. And then they say, well, you're going to have to do something to pay for this rent or to be able to stay here. You're going to have to help provide. And that's kind of how it starts sometimes. And it even can be labor trafficking, where somebody may be working for someone and they're not necessarily getting paid. They're like kind of working off a debt. And what happens with labor trafficking is they never work off that debt. Like they come in, they're working for this person, and maybe that whoever the employer is might have given them maybe an advance to get an apartment or get something like that, and then they're going to work off the debt to pay back this employer. But that kind of never happens. A lot of times with survivors, they will not report on their trafficker. Sometimes they don't even see themselves as being a victim. They feel like they're making their own decision on that. With help from like victims advocates, and that's one of the things they talk about. It takes a really long time to establish a relationship with the victim, to get them to want to cooperate and get themselves out of that situation.
Prayer for liberation of trafficking victims. Dear Lord, we come before you with heavy hearts, pleading for the liberation of those who are trapped in cruel clutches of human trafficking. We implore you to break the chains that bind these victims and grant them the liberation they so desperately need. Guide them toward the path of safety and healing. Lead them out of their horrifying darkness and into the warm and loving embrace of your grace.